Hey everyone, welcome to a special live stream where we talk about the survey items that are going to go into our next Bitovi community survey. My name is Jason Lahara, coming to you from Long Beach, California. I've got some guys joining me today. You guys want to say hi and introduce yourselves? Mike, you're a new face for us.
Yeah, hey everyone, my name is Mike. I'm from the Philadelphia area, so excited to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. And Matthew, you're not a new face.
Not new at all, old face. Hi, I'm Matthew, for people that haven't met me. Released Velocirender yesterday. Go check that out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see all the feedback from that and see people trying it out and hearing your talk next week for our first meetup. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into it. So this is our first, we're renaming the Dun.js community survey to Bitovi community survey because it's not going to be just about the Dun.js projects anymore. So Mike, do you want to talk about a new section that we're adding to our Bitovi community survey?
Yeah, so there's a new section which is related to Bitovi University. So one of the initiatives that we're pushing at Bitovi this year for 2019 is this idea of Bitovi University, which is essentially just a platform where we're going to compile all of the collective knowledge of Bitovi developers and then also the community at large together. And it'll just be a nice repository of kind of, all of the information that we have. So right now the website is just on our GitHub. And there's training material for like advanced JavaScript, working with the DOM, things like closures, comparison operators, working with the prototype. A lot of the training material that we use here at Bitovi to onboard new employees. And then also we have things like TypeScript, React, RxJS, Angular. So there's a lot of content already on there. And then one of the pushes that we're making this year and with the survey is getting your ideas on content to add to that. And so the idea is—
Before you do, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Before you do you want to share your screen real quick and tell people what URL they can go to check out the stuff that's already there?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second.
Sweet. Yeah, sorry to spring that on you. Just want people to see all the stuff that they can already check out.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yep, you're good.
So this is the Bitovi University homepage right now. It's a little unstyled, but this is gonna hopefully look a lot better soon. And as you can see over here, we have a lot of topics that you can click through and a lot of content on all these things, a lot of videos that we've just collected over the years at Bitovi. And like I said, there's gonna be a lot more content coming. So one of the things that we're gonna be asking in the community survey is for you guys to vote on topics that you'd wanna see in here. And then as Bitovi, we'll start creating content for that. And then also if you'd like to get involved yourself, you can join our community Slack with any ideas that you have for Bitovi University. So that's a quick overview of what we're gonna be doing in relation to this stuff. And I'm personally really excited to see where this goes this year.
Sweet, thanks, Mike.
Yep.
And I know you got to bounce. So if we have to say goodbye, we'll say goodbye now.
Yeah. It's good to see all you guys, and I'm gonna be on the. I'm gonna give me a talk next week on the meetup as well. So I'll see you guys then.
I'll definitely pimp that out at the end of this.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks, Mike. So yeah, let me share my screen. Present to everyone. Sweet. So here's the list of the Bitovi University topics that we're gonna put on this first survey. It's a collection of a bunch of different things. So just like the Dun.js proposals, we'll ask you to pick a couple of your favorite ones that you'd like us to make content for Bitovi University. Okay, let's move on to the open source stuff. So since our last survey in November, Kevin has been hard at work on improving CanJS dev tools. I think Chrome extensions automatically update even without restarting your browser. I'm not sure, but definitely check that you have the latest version of DevTools because he's made some awesome improvements in adding breakpoints on changes and being able to edit view models and all sorts of good stuff. So he's been working on that since our previous surveys. We've talked about adding a data guide, adding warnings when mutations occur in the wrong spot, and then improving CLJS build performance in watch mode. These are all things that we can have in our queue. So this for this survey, we're adding 2 new proposals. I'll go through those. So our first one, add a guide for using CanJS with other libraries. The TLDR is that it might be useful to have documentation on how to use CanJS with other libraries, like embedding components or quote unquote apps from other frameworks like Angular and React into CanJS. This is handy if you want to use a React component or something in your CanJS app. Be nice. It's totally possible, and it'd be nice to have docs that explain how to do that. How to, embed the component, how to bind to it, how to listen to events, and how to make sure that you're still keeping memory safety and tearing things down correctly too. And then we get questions every once in a while about using specific jQuery plugins. So some general documentation on the basics of setting those up and how they relate to CanJS, I think would be a nice little improvement and show that that it's possible, and you can use other components from other libraries in a CanJS app. I think the opposite would be helpful too. If you're into CanJS and you want to use it in an existing application that's built with Angular, React, or Vue, or what have you, I think it'd be useful to show how you can start building parts of your application in CanJS or create components and use those in apps that are kind of made up of a majority of another framework. So I think both ways would be useful. Then the last thing I say in here is it'd be useful to have like working examples of these, or we might just create GitHub repos like we have the Webpack example. Biggest drawbacks for this is it adds a maintenance burden. When CanJS has new versions, we always update to make sure everything's working correctly. Same thing with when other libraries update, it would be nice to keep our guides up to date. So that maintenance burden is definitely a drawback. We could work around that by just writing these as forum posts or as blog posts. So they're not something that we maintain over time, or they're not something that we necessarily have to maintain over time. And they would still serve as examples to get people started, even if they're not 100% up to date. So yeah, that's this proposal. If you have ever wondered, hey, how can I embed a React or Angular or Vue component in a CanJS app, or if you've ever wanted to use a CanJS component in another frameworks app, go ahead and vote for this one. All right, let's go to the second one. Create a debugging guide for Steel.js. So since we started, and since Matthew started improving our error messages last year, I think that we have good documentation on how to get out of a lot of bad situations with our error messaging and pointing people to docs on exactly how to fix a problem, which is awesome. But there's not always an error message to be shown when something goes wrong. If a file isn't being created that you're expecting, or bundle, or something isn't loading and there isn't an error message. These are all cases where it'd be nice if we could show better error messages, but we can't necessarily. So this proposal is for creating a debugging guide that, one, addresses some common scenarios where we can't show an error message, but we can instruct people on how to debug something. And two, have general debugging tips for if you've run into a problem, here are the steps that you can take. Here are the steps that we take in figuring out issues to determine what's going on. So yeah, the solution is those two things, specific scenarios and then generic instructions for debugging issues. Last bit here is my inspiration was I ran into an issue and paired with Manuel on it, and he told me some things to initially do and check for. It's like, man, it'd be really useful if we had this sort of thing in a guide. So yeah, vote for this if you have ever run into an issue with your build and you would be able to benefit from some basic tips and tricks of how to debug an issue. Cool. I think that's it for the 2 new proposals. Let me stop sharing. Matthew, do you want to walk through some of the existing ones?
Yeah. There's someone else who popped up.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Sorry, I didn't see you or anything until I stopped sharing my screen.
I know. I was sneaking up behind you.
Yeah, surprise.
Boo. Yeah. No. I wanted to.
Justin wants to talk about something else.
I wanted to see if I could propose something. Has the survey gone out already?
No. Now is the time to propose things.
Okay. It's already been proposed, but I want to bring it back if that's possible.
Yeah.
It's an element, but I'm trying to find where the link to it is.
Well, there's the project. I
think I've got it.
GitHub README. I don't remember. I guess there. Yeah. I think
that's not. Okay. I just put it in the chat.
Oh,
yep.
Awesome.
Yeah,
all right. So, all right. It's time now for Can Element. It's time we have an actual, like, our components can generate custom element light, if you will, but it's time we have an actual custom element that uses can observe, and it's based on class. And basically, it's mostly, if you vote for can element, I would say we also vote for switching to can observe and using normal classes to create observables. So in short, the idea is that you can have a data model, you can have a tag, and you have a view that can be rendered by Stash or JSX or however you want it, and we'll know when changes happen, and we'll re-render. As simple as that. It's just going to be using can observe instead of can define technology. So you can have any property you want on it. You don't have to worry about predefining all your properties. I do think we will eventually support something very much like can define. So you can have, well, getters would work automatically, but you can have things like, getters would work automatically, but so that you can define types and other fun things beyond just what can observe provides, and they will probably be all decorator based. So vote for this for, I think, really the future of CanJS. It's time.
I agree. I hope that one gets voted on.
Jess has been training this week. I wonder where this idea comes from.
We've been talking about this for a long time.
No, yeah, we've been thinking about this a long time. I mean, we took, we followed the community's advice to focus and harden the technology that was there. But I think we really do need our more future looking, we need to start working on those things. Our future looking projects.
Yeah, totally agree. Cool. Matthew, do you want to take us through the
goals?
And I'm gone. See you guys. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Bye.
Ninja something. When Chasen's not looking, propose something. And I'm out.
Okay, I'm going to do a lightning round for existing proposals. We have a few that we're going to bring over from previous what do you call it, surveys. The first one of which, actually, I really like this one a lot. This is for bringing some of the functionality from jQuery++ into kind of how we do things in CanJS now. So the way that we do DOM events now is we have can DOM events, and there's a add events function, and you give it an object containing some event stuff. I can't remember what the shape of this object is, but this exists for, like, for example, there's can event DOM enter, can event DOM. I don't even remember the other ones, but we have a few of these already. But what this proposal is doing is taking some of the higher level functionality that exists in jQuery++ and making that available through specialized DOM event types. So in this example, this is doing like a swipe event. So you would just import can event DOM swipe, and then in your template, you could just use on swipe right and on swipe left, and call your view model functions just like you do, with click events or any other type of events. So it makes it super light. Think about what this is doing. This is like, for example, this could be, I'm thinking like a carousel or something, and you just add on the image a swipe, and you can change the carousel item, or this is doing like a like or a dislike, and it makes it super easy to do some advanced type of functionality that way. And there's other type of events. I don't have a list in front of me, but there's other type of things. Drag and drop is another one that we have in jQuery++ that we would want to do for this proposal. So if you're into like making some high-level drag and drop and swipe stuff much easier in CanJS, do this issue. I think it's a good one. All right, that was even too slow. I gotta go faster. The next issue is to bring DOM diffing into CanJS. So CanJS already does diffing. It does diffing on like list items, lists, like your actual data. But to do that, you have to like identify an identity property. You know what? That works when you're like doing models and stuff because you already have an identity. But in some cases, you don't have that, so it makes it a little bit harder to bring diffing, to get the diffing that CanJS provides. So what this issue is to do DOM diffing. So DOM diffing, instead of looking at your data and like diffing a list, it's going to look at the actual DOM nodes and like see do they match each other. So DOM diffing is great for making it easy to take advantage of what diffing provides you. You don't have to actually do anything. Well, you do have to do some stuff, or you can, I should say, you can do some stuff to make it a little bit faster. But this makes it for when you have like these really complex grids and stuff to make those super fast with minimal amount of effort. So this issue kind of talks a lot about how to gradually bring DOM diffing into CanJS instead of just like, trying to have it all there at once. So it started out with like having a special render function for Stash that uses diffing, having a diff base for of, that sort of thing. So if you've had any issues where you have some like very complex lists and stuff and you think it could be a little bit faster, vote on this DOM diffing proposal. Next up is simplified routing solution. As everybody knows, it uses CanJS. The advantage of CanJS brings the routing is that it's based on your data. What I mean by that is that you essentially you get a can.route, or excuse me, route.data is an observable. So you just have an observable and you can just listen to that just like any other observable. And when the route changes, like when someone clicks a link, the data for that observable changes. And then CanJS also works the other way where you can make changes to your route.data observable and it reflects in the URL. So it's really cool in that way. However, it works much differently than other routing solutions, which makes it a little bit difficult to understand if you're used to using other routers. So what this proposal is for is creating a higher level API for kind of the most common ways people do routing, probably some type of route configuration. Here's an example of that, where you can kind of define the nested routes in such a way that you can like lazily import components. You can change values on your observable, et cetera, et cetera. So if you'd like a simplified routing solution, give this one a upvote. Next up is something that's close to my heart. I'm going to start working on a project soon that uses finite state machines. This proposal is to bring finite state machines into CanJS. If you're not familiar with finite state machines, I wasn't until fairly recently myself. But essentially what they are is they provide a way for you to define every valid state your application can have and how to transition from one state to another. So here's a common example we see. This is basically how H2O works, is that you start, you have state of like frozen is ice, boiling is steam, and what temperature it is. So you can like change. I think, do you change the temperature? Actually, I'm not sure how this proposal works. But base, you can like read the temperature. Anyways, it provides a way to like transition from one state to another. And then Justin goes into like some more kind of advanced ways you might want to insert some logic into state transitions or listening to state changes. What's great about finite state machines is that if you can define all of the valid states in your application, you can like eliminate some bugs that otherwise might creep in, you know, because you're just doing things manually, either through like a reducer or through a view model. You're still creating the state machine, but it's possible for invalid states to get in there unless like you thoroughly test it. This is just kind of makes that kind of problem not exist. So it's really, really nice for projects where all of your known states are very well defined. And can element, we already talked about. Is that all of them? Yeah, I did. I talked about all of them. Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
All right, that is the end of, those are all of the items that we're going to have on this proposal. So we'll have the 2 sections for the Bitovi University stuff and our open source stuff. As everyone can tell, we're running a very small team on open source. Even Matthew's leaving next week for client work. So that's why we're only putting a few. Yeah, sad. That's why we're only putting a few items on the survey. Yeah, do you want to talk about the items at all? Is there anything that you wanted to talk about?
About their proposals?
The proposals, yeah. I feel like this is the point where we usually try and sell people on.
Well, the proposal pitches are where we're selling them. I mean, I like everything. I do like the mix-ins, the swipe events. That's one I voted on in the past. I think that's really cool, just because you can get, you know, whenever if you do that by hand, it's very. I've tried like doing swipe. You have to like listen to these touch events.
The touch, pointer events or whatever,
and just like condense that kind of complexity down into something we're all used to, which is just like adding event handlers to our elements in the view. I think that's a great value, and probably something that's not super difficult to add. I guess we'll see. As far as the new ones, I think it would be really good to do the one where the guide about using CanJS with other libraries. I know I don't know if you saw that. I think someone in the Bitovi community was asking about doing that.
I felt very validated yesterday. Yeah, I felt very validated that we had just talked about that on Wednesday.
Right. So yeah, I think that'd be a great one as far as guides go. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and I can't re-emphasize what Justin said about the can element and can observe proposal either, or I can't emphasize it enough. I really think that those 2 things are the future of being able to build really easy custom elements. So I really hope that one gets voted on, and it opens up a lot of opportunity for templating and view stuff too. So
yeah, and as far as the Bitovi University items, we did something with Adri about CSS Grid. She did a training with us.
Really good training, yeah.
And when that was awesome, that got me really excited about Grid, and I've kind of used it in some personal stuff since then, and I like it. But I feel like I know a little bit, but to have like a course, I feel like that'd be a great item to like learn even more. To be able to always go back to that is great too. So
yeah, for sure.
About that one, the setting of expectations and aligning goals. I like that kind of soft skill thing.
Yeah, that's a good point, that like the Bitovi University stuff isn't just all technical stuff. There's a few of these on here that are more soft skills and just like how to run projects well and how to work in a team, how to write well, communication skills. It's all super valuable. And I can't remember who originally posted those. as ideas. And I think they said something about like, oh yeah, these are really important things that just aren't written about or documented very frequently. I agree. I think it would be good to have training around those. Yeah, cool.
Same.
All right. Yeah. So I think that's it for the survey stuff. I don't know if I'll be able to get it out in the next 27 minutes before I'm going to be busy with other stuff. I'll try and get it out as soon as I can. Until then, if you haven't already, check out our community Slack. Right now, the best URL to go is unfortunately tinyurl.com/Bitovi community Slack, no hyphens or anything. I'm putting up a landing page on bitovi.com pretty soon with our Slack and our forums and info for our next meetup. Which, speaking of which, let me share my screen real quick. Take this as an opportunity to our first online meetup. So next Thursday, February 14th at 9 a.m. Pacific, we're going to host our first online meetup. I'm super excited. We're going to have a variety of short little talks on a bunch of different subjects. Kevin's going to talk to us about Chrome extensions, some stuff that he's learned from building dev tools for CanJS. Matthew, you're going to talk about Velocirender, which was just released yesterday.
Yes,
yeah.
You want to quickly? No. I just want to tell people to go to blog.bitovi.com, and if they do so, there's a giant article there. Yeah, the big frame. Click on that, read it, check out Velocirender. It's a really cool thing.
I love your article about it because you get into the technical details of why this matters and
why it works, and kind of the conditions of the network that makes this good.
Yeah, exactly. I love this sort of like in-depth technical content where you're learning like the in-depth reasons why something exists. And there are very good reasons why like Velocirender exists and is faster than traditional SSR. So yeah, definitely check out bitovi.com/blog, and you'll find his article there. And you're gonna talk about it at our online meetup as well. Mick, a Bitovian here, is gonna talk about DevOps, trying to compare define what is DevOps by explaining examples of what it is and isn't. I'm excited for his talk. And then Mike Dane, who was just on the stream at the beginning, he's going to talk about something that he ran into on one of his projects about recursively rendering React components, and kind of what goes into that and how to model the data and propagate events and all that jazz. So I'm excited for that talk too. So yeah, we'll have a handful of talks, and then afterwards, I think we're just gonna have a hangout where people can chat and meet each other, hopefully ask some questions and get into some nerdy conversation. Should be a good time. I'm excited. So yeah, everyone should be going to bitovi.com/blog and looking at Matthew's Velocirender article. Also go there to see the join us for our first online meetup blog post, and there you can click to register. You do actually have to register on Zoom to be able to get into the meetings. Make sure you do that. Cool. I think that's it. Anything else before we go?
No.
No? All right. Survey will be out later today. Until then, go check out our blog. We have lots of good stuff for you there. And we'll probably talk about the survey results after the meetup or during the meetup next week. So yeah, see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Bye.